Within these walls housed horrible stories and changed some lives forever. This is the infamous Don Jail, or Toronto Jail. Above the main entrance is the image of Father Time. For some, this would be the last image they would see in the free world. The Don Jail might have been cursed right from the beginning, as its architect William Thomas died before the completion, and just before the building was completed, they had a disastrous fire in 1862, so unavoidably it was rebuilt and completed in 1864. This was Toronto's fourth jail, and when it was first opened, it was called the Palace for Prisoners, because it was considered state-of-the-art at that time when it first opened. But that changed over the years due to overcrowding and other factors. It's known as a dungeon unfit for human habitation and was considered an embarrassment to the Canadian criminal justice system and was closed in 1977. The building now is used for the administration office for the Bridgepoint Active Healthcare. Since the opening of the Don Jail, there has been 70 murders, 15 skeleton remains discovered on the premises, 34 executions by hanging, and an unknown number of inmates who have taken their own lives. And one such inmate that did a swan dive over the top railing of the rotunda that we're entering now. The building is said to be haunted by a young woman who hung herself in her cell in the 1890s. It is said that guards on the graveyard shift saw her spirit floating through the air in the main rotunda area. Public hangings in Canada wasn't abolished until 1869, and in Toronto it wasn't moved indoors from the Don Jail yard until 1905. When the Don Jail first opened, there was no talking allowed between the inmates. Floggings were conducted on the main floor of the rotunda area, with inmates watching from the balconies above to see the gruesome act. People entering the Don Jail were only supposed to be here temporarily, waiting for their court date. If they are guilty of their crime, they are sent to a prison to serve their sentence. Only those sentenced for execution could stay for a long period of time. But this was not always the case, as some prisoners ended up staying for months at the Don Jail.
And you work your way up.
So we're going downstairs. The building first opened, it roughly had 180 cells. So when the jail was first built, there was no electricity or plumbing, so they used a bucket as a toilet, and they used to empty it every morning. And the smell of human waste and sweat would be overpowering sometimes. Go right in. Oh, look how tiny this cell is. It's about 3 feet wide. Small cells. When first built, the cells were intended for one person. But later on, it's said that more than 3 people could be found in a cell. It's just enough room for a single bed. It is said that they used hammocks placed one above each other, above the person on the cot. And they were in that cell for 23 hours a day, only to go outside for 1 hour. When they turned off the lights, the place would be infested with cockroaches and rats. The cell for solitary confinement is known as the Segregation Cell and is used for misbehavior of the prisoners. See, there's no windows or lights in there, it'd be total darkness. Here we are entering below the main rotunda. There has been several escapes from the Don Jail, the most famous from the Boyd Gang. Named by the Toronto newspapers after bank robber Edwin Alonzo Boyd. They managed to escape not once, but twice from the Don Jail. After 6 bank robberies, Boyd was put in the Don Jail. This is where he met Leonard Tough Lenny Jackson, Willie the Clown Jackson, and Steve Suchan. And the Jacksons are not related to each other. So they used a saw hidden inside Lenny Jackson's wooden prosthesis and escaped on November 1951. While at large, Suchan and Lenny Jackson were pulled over in their car by the Toronto police. Suchan shot both police officers, but one would later die from his wounds. Both men would be captured and charged for murder. Willie Jackson had been captured earlier and then buoyed in his bed. And for some unknown reason, all four men were put back together in the same cell in the Don Jail. So in September of 1952, they escaped for a second time, which led to the biggest manhunt in Canadian history until their arrest 10 days later. CBC newscast anchor Lauren Green, who later went on to fame from the Bonanza series, broadcast the details. Suchan and Jackson would walk down this hall known as Death Row and would be the second double hanging on December 16, 1952. Willie Jackson and Edwin Boyd went to Kingston Penitentiary and both were released in 1966. And here we are entering the gallows. All that remains is the outline of the wooden floor and the structure where the noose used to hang from. 26 men have met their fate on the jail's indoor gallows. The jail saw 3 double hangings, the last to be that of Arthur Lucas and Ronald Turbin in 1962, each charged for murder in separate cases. Turbin and Lucas executions were Canada's last before capital punishment was abolished in 1976. And that's the door where the hangman would come through. The cell block nightclub scene from the movie Cocktail with Tom Cruise is actually the rotunda of the Don Jail. A new East Wing was built in November 1958 to house 276 prisoners, but by its end, the average total was about 620. It too was plagued with problems and was decommissioned on January 6, 2014 and torn down. In 2007, 15 executed prisoners' remains were found under a parking lot which once was an exercise yard. The bodies were identified and reinterred at the St. James Cemetery. I would like to thank Bridgepoint Active Healthcare for saving a part of Toronto's history of an era gone by. Thank you for watching the video. Please subscribe, like, share, leave a comment, and hope to see you at our next video.